Okay, so now we're going to do dynamic remarketing. This one is controversial. Google says not to run it. I have a strategy that I've implemented a few times that I think is very important, and when to run it and what settings to run on and when to turn it off and how much budget, all the other stuff. So in almost every single campaign I've ever run, I've had a dynamic remarketing campaign. This one here, dynamic remarketing campaign, is on low budget and it's off. And I'll tell you the reason why. So let's start a new campaign. So we're going to use the campaign toggle here, start a new campaign. We're going to look for sales and we're going to be on display. Again, Google's going to default to smart. Smart display has been getting better. It's still really heavily branded because it's a path of least resistance for smart campaigns. But the standard display is what we're going to be using right now, just for the dynamic remarketing. And I'll share with you the settings for dynamic remarketing, how to take a standard display campaign and turn it into dynamic remarketing. Again, you can place here your website if you want to, or it's optional. You just leave this blank, it's okay. I'm gonna click on continue. And we're going to use, we're going to call this obviously our dynamic remarketing. So campaign name can be dynamic remarketing. You can see, so I got to tag this. There was an older agency that used to have this account, so this way for me to identify my campaigns versus the previous agencies. Again, locations, you're going to choose the same location options as your campaigns are running in, and then use the people in regularly in, and then you leave this presence to exclude people in your exclusions if you have exclusions. Next, languages. This is where it's different than a search campaign. This you want to have the targeted location that your user is going to be having at least their native language in. Oh, I see a chat coming in. I can't click on the chat button. There it is. Mike, for display subtype, I'm only showing two options: display campaign and Gmail. Oh, you don't have smart. That's interesting. Okay, just click on display campaign then. If there shouldn't be a smart one. I haven't seen a campaign not have a smart display option in a very long time. Mike, that's interesting. Mike, quick question. Do you already have your feed up and approved and linked from before? That might be actually a stopping point for some people here. If you're waiting, you might not have this option if you're following along and you're not fully built up with everything else. And I'll discuss it here in a moment. But let's move on from here. But the language of English, this is important. Oh, feed isn't improved yet, probably. So that won't be necessarily the difference between a smart, but you won't be able to attach the feed, where I'll show you how to do that, because the feed isn't up. If you already have it built and it's just pending approval, then you'll still have the option, but it just might not run yet. So I'll get back to this part here. This tells Google where the ad should show. And we like English because your ads, especially remarketing, can be shown on anywhere. Now, there's two schools of thought. One is, well, if my person is bilingual or multilingual, and they visit a lot of different, websites, I'm still okay with showing them the ad. But if your ad, obviously, if your feed's in English, and you don't necessarily want to show your ads to websites that are in, let's say, Spanish, so you have an English-speaking ad inside of a Spanish-speaking website, that's where you would choose this here. This says, okay, my English-speaking ads are only going to show on English-speaking, websites, YouTube channels, etc. It's a good practice as default to run a native language in a native campaign. So if you have English-speaking ads, choose English. If you have Spanish-speaking ads, choose Spanish. And you can run multiple. It's okay to run a few different campaigns, because then if they're searching in Spanish and you have Spanish-speaking, ads and Spanish-speaking products, and then you're set it up here and it's showing Spanish, then your Spanish-speaking ads and Spanish-speaking products are showing up on Spanish-speaking YouTube channels, websites, etc. So best practice is to run one campaign with one native language with one native language setting. So native language ads, native language setting. Now in here, I like to run maximize conversions right off the bat. The reason why I like to run maximize conversions is because my smart shopping campaign is also going to be dynamically remarketing. So this is where this gets a little bit tricky in thinking wise about why the strategy exists. Your smart shopping campaign is going to run dynamic remarketing most of the time for the long period of time, think years, at a target ROAS. This is not going to have a target ROAS. This is going to have a maximized conversion. So why do this? Your smart shopping campaign is going to say, I don't think, and sorry to pick on you, Cosm, again, I don't think Cosm is going to convert at a 400% return on ad spend. I'm not going to show my ads to that person. It's going to be right the majority of the time, but there's also going to be times where it's wrong. Cosm would have purchased, and it would have made us at least a 400% return on ad spend that day. Dynamic remarketing says, I really don't care what Cosm converts at. I just want people to convert. So if smart shopping, which is the most selfish campaign in your account, says, no, I don't want it, dynamic remarketing says, great, I'll take it. Now, why run this campaign? Well, you're going to, and I'll cover that here in the next section. I run maximize conversions. Don't use this. This is going to enable target CPA. Just run maximize conversions. You want this to be a saturation type of campaign. And so you can select a bid strategy directly and just hit maximize conversions if you want to. It's the same thing. So the maximize conversions bidding strategy is what I like to use dynamic remarketing on, because I limit, this next section here is important, I limit the amount of daily budget. I'm going to put $5 or $10, a small amount. And the reason is because if I can have $5 or $10 a day, I'm going to be remarketing to all the people that smart shopping said, no, I don't want it. But if I'm right that day and my average cart value is $80, I have an 800% ROAS that day, where smart shopping would not have picked that up. Smart shopping predetermined that that person was not going to convert. So by running maximize conversions says, I really don't care what happens. I'm going to spend the most amount of budget I can for the most amount of people, but the only people it can is where the smart shopping says, no, I don't want them. But don't put this at $100 a day, because otherwise you're going to spend $100 a day on people that might have only converted at a 2x ROAS, and now your overall account ROAS has dipped because you're spending a lot more and not retrieving that money. So limit the spend here on purpose, relevant to what you're spending. If you're spending $1,000 a day in Google Ads, then yeah, put this thing maybe at like $40 or $50. If you're spending, $100 to $200 a day in Google Ads, put this at 10. Don't set it too high. This is just going to be the additional remarketing that you want and need with the limited spend. So if you make a sale, it's at a good ROAS. That's going to scoop up all the additional traffic that smart shopping does not want, or has predetermined that it does not want. Now, the good part here is that in the beginning, smart shopping is not going to exactly know what it wants. It doesn't know what everyone's going to be converting as. As weeks and months and years go by, it's going to get smarter, better, faster, and stronger. And your smart shop and your dynamic marketing campaign just may not run at all, or run very, very little, may not even spend the daily budget. But in the beginning, what this is doing is saying, hey, smart shopping, you didn't want that person, but they converted anyway. So you're wrong, learn. And it's going to start to go after the people that it didn't think was going to convert, but it's going to be another data point that says, this person came back 3 times and then they bought at a good ROAS, at a good CPA, and at a good cart value. So I should probably start to go after these people too. Again, dynamic remarketing will just fizzle out and die when smart shopping gets better. Another time when you might stop dynamic remarketing is, let's say you've been running it for 2 years and it's never gone over a 2x ROAS. Then standard smart shopping is smart enough to know, hey, we should have just gone after this person at all. So we're running dynamic remarketing as a supplemental to smart shopping. It's a sacrificial campaign. You're probably most likely going to shut it off, but it's additional. Now, the additional settings here, ad rotation, you're going to leave this because it's going to be coming from a feed. Ad schedule, you're going to leave this here as well, just because this is, in my opinion, you don't want to not run this at a certain day and time. You can make sales in your sleep, so keep this running 24/7. Start date and end date here is going to be the same. Again, don't choose an end date. Now on here, this is up to you. Usually I don't touch this just yet. If I do uninclude a device, it's going to be tablets. Most of the time, for whatever reason, and this isn't everybody, but most of the time, tablets for whatever reason just don't ever convert. But I'm going to leave it on for now. I'm going to say show on all devices. When we get to YouTube shopping, you'll see that in YouTube shopping, I actually exclude TVs because people don't convert on TVs very well. That pretty much at all. It's really hard to click on a YouTube ad from your clicker and you navigate to a sale. Usually doesn't happen. So I actually just exclude televisions for that reason. not a lot of engagement. It's more just like a general TV commercial. If you have the budget, that's great. We'll get to that later on. But devices, I usually just show on all devices. Campaign URL options, again, this is the same campaign URL options. Here's what makes the campaign dynamic. You'll see dynamic ads, no data feed. So when you click on that, say, yeah, use dynamic ads feed for personalization. And then it's going to say select a feed and then choose your feed here. This now has just turned your standard display ad into a dynamic ad, which means it is now going to show an ad personalized to the person that went to your website, looked at a specific product, did not buy it, which we're going to go to in a moment, leave, and then it's going to say, okay, now I'm going to go after that person. I'm going to start showing that ad back to them. This is the ad that follows you around, comes from your feed. So check the box, add your feed. If you don't want any products, that's when you have to filter them out here. Again, if you have products on your website and people are interested and they're up and running, you're probably wanting to sell them. So go ahead and include them all here. So that's with data feed here. Conversions, again, my opinion on e-commerce website, e-commerce accounts only count a sale when it has conversion value as a conversion. The rest I ignore, just because it's going to learn for that period of time. And I want it to learn the best way it can from the start, possibly, or as possible. So the account level including conversions is what I choose. Content exclusions, again, this is up to you. Because it's dynamically remarketing, it's only going to show an ad to a person who's been to your site. So I really don't care where they go. I don't judge if they want to look at, sexually suggested ads later on. There's still someone that went to my website that possibly could buy something. So I don't shut off any of these. You may say, hey, it's not right for my brand to show an ad on some possibly sensational and shocking content. So, I just don't want to associate myself with that type of content. That's totally cool. You can do that. Just know that sometimes news networks can be shocking and sensational. So you might accidentally exclude some mediocre and high valuable news networks that people are just hanging out on. And that's a great time to get them to buy something when they're just hanging out with nothing to do. So use these sparingly, use at your discretion. My SOP is to not exclude anything unless the client says, hey, I don't want anything on live streaming YouTube video. Okay, that's fine. Ad group, this is going to be the dynamic remarketing ad group. Here's the audience. This is important. Right now, we're not remarketing yet. Right now, we're basically having a pseudo smart campaign. It's just going to start to show personalization as to whoever they think is ready to buy. Smart shopping is already going to do that, so don't double up here. In the audience, you're going to want to select the audience of people who have been to your website. So we're going to click browse, and we're going to look at this one here, how they've interacted with your business. And how they've interacted with your business is, I want website visitors. I want the people that visited my website. And you're going to have one that's either going to say all visitors Google Ads or all visitors Google Analytics. If you've imported your analytics, or if you've tagged your account as analytics, this one here is completely fine. All visitors Google Ads. This means a Google Ads tag that has tagged those people regardless of where they came from. This is who is going to use that to remarket to. This is the main tag that Smart Shopping uses. So I like to use the same one. So all visitors Google Ads. This is the Google Ads tag we've already set up. Now, there's going to be one other area that we're going to edit here, and I can't do that from here. So I'll share that with you here in a moment, though. Now, and that's after we get up and running. It's going to be the next important part. Demographics. Again, I include everyone just because they've been to my website. This portion here is kind of important to know. The way that Google identifies demographics is not only what you've entered in when you made your Gmail account. That's a big part of it. But if you made a Gmail account, you said, here's my birthday, I'm male, I'm female, whatever it may be. It takes into that consideration, but a lot of people just say, they don't include that. You have to have a birthday, but you don't have to have any other demographics by yourself. The way that Google identifies people is, and here, this will be kind of a fun experiment. Who here has gone to Etsy or sometimes goes to Etsy, once a month or twice a month here? Okay, Neha, Megan, Jared, you do? Abdel. All right. You are all a female between the ages of 18 and 24. Jared says, yeah. Good. So how this works though is Google uses AdSense in order to identify third-party users. So what happens is Etsy says, hey, Google, I'd like to advertise Google display ads on Etsy. And they say, okay, great. Tell us a bit about your business. Well, I'm Etsy, blah, 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 blah. What type of people go to Etsy? Usually it's between females between the ages of 18 and 24. Google says, good to know. So now anybody that goes there, since AdSense is there, it's cultivating that audience. And it says, the people that visit Etsy must be this person. So now there's another point in the bucket that says, Jared, you're an 18 to 24-year-old female. So if you exclude, a 35 to 44-year-old male, and that's what I am, I'm a 33-year-old male, or let's say 25, 34, I'm a 33-year-old male. If you exclude that, but I go to Etsy, doesn't matter. I'm going to still get that ad because Google thinks I'm female. That's how this works. So don't use this as oh man, you know what? My product probably is not going to be good for an 18-year-old. It's not going to work that way. It can help, but you might accidentally exclude the wrong person because Google just doesn't really know. It's just based off of intent and how people interact with things. So leave these all excluded if you can. Content expansion. We're actually going to skip keywords, topics, and placements because it's dynamic remarketing. It's going to just remarket to anybody regardless of where they are, who they are, where they're at. All we know is they've been to our website. And then I'll show you something else after we start. So here we go. This is the part we already covered, visitors. This part we're going to leave here, everything open. And then the target expansion here, this is where you're definitely going to want to turn this off. It defaults to on. And I don't know if they'll show it again, but what happened was when it defaulted to on, I think it said, and I saw this quickly, it said 200K. It wants to add on 200,000 people into my dynamic remarketing campaign. I don't know why this is not going to give it to me. So sorry. Oh yeah, no, 20,000. It wants to show 20,000 more impressions on average per week than what I want. Well, this is not smart because in my opinion, if I have 1,000 people that have been to my website plus 20,000 people more, I'm going to spend all my budget on the 20,000 people that have not been to my site yet. That's now a proactive display campaign. That's what we're going to share with you how to do that in display. But this is going to say, hey, in addition to the people that been to your website that are trying to show a dynamic remarketing ad, let's just show it to 20,000 more people because, hey, more traffic equals more sales, right? No, you want to separate them out. They're going to interact differently with your website. Dynamic remarketing is going to have a way higher conversion rate than cold traffic on display. Of course it does. Google sucks. Yes, Michael. But that's why you're here. So turn this off. It defaults to on. Please turn it off. There's reasons to use this, but that's not in dynamic remarketing. Now is when you create your ads. So when you create your ad here, you're building kind of just the generic ad. This ad is going to then change into something else. If it cannot change into something else, like a feed attributed product ad, which means I know that John Moran went to my website and looked at blue socks, so I'm going to show the blue socks back to him. If it says, hey, I know John Moran's been to my website, but I don't know what product they were looking at because that product was possibly non-existent. That is something that is not non-existent. If that product is no longer available, if it's off the website, or if Google couldn't tag with ecom prod ID, sometimes little matching errors happen. It's just going to show a generalized remarketing ad to them. And Qasim, can I have you do me a quick favor? And I'm so sorry. Could you email Austin and just and have it rescheduled? I'm so sorry. He didn't get back to me yet, and I just saw it pop up that a call in 10 minutes, but sorry about that. Appreciate it. So the way that this is going to work is you're going to build an ad knowing that this is not going to be your ad that's shown most often, but it is an ad that is either used when it can't match or when there's more available space on the display ad than what Google has in your feed. And I'll share with you what I mean. So final URL, use your homepage. I'm just going to use like purposeful, or no, this one's going to be real. So yeah, I'm just going to say purposeful baskets right now because I'm not going to run this one. Purposeful baskets. This is going to say, hey, use HTTPS. So here's a quick pro tip. Just use that URL, then copy that. and then paste it again in, it'll add the HTML or HTTPS for you. So use the full HTTPS. If you don't, and your site's HTTPS, which means it's secured, it's just going to default to that anyway. But just use that as a default. Image and logos. This is where you'd want to have a lifestyle image. A lifestyle image is going to work really, really well here. About as close to your brandable products as you can. Now, some people say I have everything from we have one of a company that we have an alarm clock, coffee maker, and a child's toy. Maybe use more image and logos of your brand name. If you have very light products, like this one has hats, perfect. I'm going to use my best performing hat as my main image because I know that they're interested in a hat. I just couldn't tell you which hat, but I know it's hats. If you have shirts, if you have dresses, pick a very brand relatable product image. And if you can, use a lifestyle image because then it's just going to say like, oh yeah, I need a dress. Or, oh yeah, I was looking for a hat. It doesn't need to be the exact one you think that they were on. If you use a lifestyle image one, that is usually best. I don't know if I have, yeah, this one, cool. I don't even know what that is. Okay, I'm just going to use this one for now because this is for fun. We want to have two different items or two different sizes. And I want to see if I'll just use a stock photo for now. Sorry. I don't have good images to use as an example here. But you want to have.
Dylan had a question. What about a single product store promo type ad for an image?
Single product store. Oh yeah. If you have one product, you necessarily don't have to set it up this way. You can set up just a standard remarketing without having it be dynamic. So if you have just one product, I would not use a dynamic remarketing. I would use a standard remarketing because then you can build a few different ads, all relevant about your single product. This is going to be when you have 50 different products and you need to have that one product show up based on what their interactivity was. But if you say have one product, build 4 or 5 different ads and have a lifestyle, have product, have promos, whatever you want. You can get more creative when you have one product. But for generally everyone here that has like possibly anywhere between like 5 and 100,000 products, this is to have a good add-on to your smart shopping campaign. You want to choose your image. I usually like to center the image to mostly what's important. So this is like the hand carving thing. This is what I want here. I'm going to center that there. And I can't use a logo because it's not the right width, but I'm going to select the 2 items here. That's great. If you have a logo, let's just see if I can use this one as a logo. No, I can't use that as a logo. Can I use that as a logo? No. Let me see if I have I use. Sorry, everyone. This is difficult. There we go. Logos have to be kind of this square, like 4:1 ratio. This doesn't meet. That's okay. It's just going to be 1:1. I'm going to use as my logo. But you can have 2 different logos here. Usually it gives you an area for your logo and then copy space, or you can just have your kind of like a favicon logo here. So again, you should have your logos and images. Just use those appropriately. Videos. This is interesting because videos are now kind of new to display. They always play on mute. So just be mindful of that. They're going to play on mute. And what that means is that when they play on mute, if I notice 15 seconds into your video that it's playing because it started playing on the homepage of like CNN.com and you scroll down, you're like, oh, there's a video playing here. And it doesn't have text on the video, or if it's a talking head, the first time you're introduced to that video is just going to be a person that's like this. Just mouth moving, no words on screen, is on mute, and they have no idea what the video is about. So if you have like a product specific video, and that video is like showing the product and then the price, and then showing the product again, like the features, and showing the product and like a description, you can use that because that kind of is like a moving picture. Just know that if you do use video on here, it's going to play on mute and it's going to repeat. So understand that paradigm accordingly. Now, I actually have a difference of opinion in headlines. Google wants you to use 5 headlines. Otherwise, it's going to give you poor ad strength. My opinion is the headlines should be very relevant to your brand if you're going to use it on a dynamic remarketing. Otherwise, the headline is usually just going to be your product title of your feed. That's fine. Now, this one here, if I had worldwide shipping as an example, and I don't know why that's so small. So hold on, let me just see if I can get this thing to be bigger. Let me just say I had worldwide shipping, or let's say free shipping. You'll see here that this looks a little odd. Who's worldwide shipping? Like, it doesn't really, I don't remember that. Oh, what is this? My opinion is the business name here is good. This is on a Gmail ad. But when you look at different ad sets like on YouTube, I'm so sorry. Usually this takes up this full screen here. So I'm trying to make this as big as everyone as possible. You'll see the title is like free shipping. It's like, well, what's free shipping? That's the first thing they see. And a lot of times they're not going to start to read more about it. So I like to usually use my headline as a branded headline. So this first one here, I like to say, purposeful baskets. So now when they see the ad, oh, purposeful baskets, like a brand name. And then they see the image. Oh yeah, I remember that site. I remember that product. They can kind of like get a general feel about who you were, because you might only have room for one of those headlines. And if your fourth headline down was something like been in business 25 years, that's the only headline they're going to see. That might not have a synapses in their brain fire to remember who you were because you've been in business 25 years. Your branding does a lot better. I go against the grain here, and I usually like to use maybe one or two headlines, and then that's it. I don't like to add a lot more other headlines because that might be the only headline that is shown. Often it is the only headline that's shown. So just understand that. If someone said, if you use one of those headlines, think about if that was the only headline that was seen, is that enough for a remarketing ad? Sometimes no. Long headlines, this is where you can get a little more descriptive. Sometimes the ad landscape is, a very large ad, like a 1/3 of the page on a website, and you can have a lot of content there. You have your image, you have your logo, you have your title, you have a long description. So make this long description a good generalist statement about your company. So purposeful baskets, handmade decorative baskets, made here in Pakistan, the business in 25 years. You can be very descriptive, because that might be, again, the only thing that someone sees, and they need to be able to read that, isolate it from everything else that they might see on the page. And then 5 descriptions. Again, these 5 descriptions, most of the time, you're only going to see one. Have them live individually of each other. If you can't look at one description and say, yep, I know who that is, don't use it. Use either less or find different ways to say the same thing, essentially. We have 30 minutes left, so I'm going to speed up just a little bit. Additional formatting options. So use asset enhancement. This actually allows Google to turn it into a video for you. Same thing with here, the auto generate video. You'll see what I mean by here. So they actually start to use enhancements. If I can, not key ad formats, let's see, this might be one. So this is an enhancement. Let's see if I can get the video to pop up. It's not going to pop up. That's okay. This is not reading the feed just yet. Anywho, what I'll actually do is it'll create you a video ad. It'll use your title, and it'll kind of like type in your title, and then your product image will like kind of float in. It's pretty cool. It makes like little videos. Most of the time they're used at discovery, but I usually just opt into these. Then use native formats. Include native formats to expand your reach. This is essentially adding in apps. You can use native formats, which basically means like if it only allows that one size and it can use that one size, it will just use that one size. My opinion is I would use these all. And then you have more options. You can add a call to action text, or you can customize your colors. You can use your brand colors if you'd like. This is going to show up all the time. It's only going to show up usually in key ad formats or video. Text ads, you're not going to have any sort of CSS customization, no colors. But if you wanted to have a very customized color because it's your brand name, go ahead. It just is going to help them identify what that brand is. Business name, yeah, you have to have a business name, that's right. I didn't fill that part out, I just explained it. Perfect, add a group. Let me see if I can not die here. Come on, Google. I already have that name. I know, I've done this before, too. Yay, I'm gonna go shut this off real quick. Okay. Here's the last part that's very important. Inside of your dynamic remarketing campaign, it's going to show to every single person that's been to your site. Right now, it's going to show to every single person that's been to your website and bought. That's not good. We want to stop that. So inside of your dynamic remarketing campaign, you want to go into audiences. And what you'll see, the audience, oh, I had it. Well, apparently didn't add the audience that I added. That's interesting. All visitors. Uh-oh, it might have timed out actually. That might be why this isn't done. Let me just see something here. If I restart this, will it show me? Enable this with $1 bids, just to use this. Yeah, okay, it was just because it was paused. Anywho, I'm gonna pause this again real quick, just because it's on a client's campaign. Okay, so it's paused. Will audience disappear now? Yeah, anyway, this is where the audience would say all your visitors. What you wanna do is on here on the left-hand side, under exclusions, you wanna add an exclusion. And the exclusion, when you add the exclude audiences, you want to add it from the campaign of your dynamic remarketing. You want to click browse. You want to have the remarketed and similar audience, so how they interacted with your business. And under the website visitors, this is an auto-generated audience. Google will automatically generate this for you. And it's called all converters. So when you check on the checkbox of all converters, then you click save. And then it would normally pop up here. What we have is the reason why we are targeting all website visitors, but excluding all converters means, did they come to my website? Yes. Did they buy something? Yes. Those people are excluded. We're not going to dynamically remarket to those people again if they just bought something. So as soon as they buy something, it stops. But repeat customers, Smart Shopping will still go after those people. Again, this is supplemental to Smart Shopping. Smart Shopping is going to go after the people who are still interested, even if they bought something, because they might be buying different sizes, color shapes, whatever it may be. Smart Shopping will do that. But for this one here, we want to exclude all the converters because we don't want to have those people. We don't want to have those people be remarketed to because they just bought something. What you'll see here is Smart Shopping is going to say, hey, we're not sure of all of the customers. Here's the new customers in the last 30 days. There's been 318 new customers, and the returning customers is another 64 sales. This is already going to happen. If they've already converted, Smart Shopping is going to say, well, they're still searching, so let's keep showing ads to them. Let Smart Shopping do that. That'll have a ROAS goal. Dynamic remarketing, maximize conversions. We don't want to use maximize conversions and overshow the ads to people who just bought. That's just going to waste all of your ad spend, especially when you have a small amount of money. It's like a $5-10 a day budget.